Hi there, this is Imaneo. Welcome to my channel. And as you know, in this series, we are implementing a game using Flutter and Flame Game Engine. It is called Flappy Dash. And in today's video, we are going to implement the leaderboard. So as you remember, in the previous episode, we just explained how the Nakama server works. And in today's episode, we are going to connect the client to the Nakama and retrieve the leaderboard information. So first of all, this is the latest state of the game. And as you remember in the last episode, let me open it, branch 12. And yeah, so this is the last episode code that we implemented, and here we just added the Nakama dependency. It's here, and also we implemented some logic in the constructor of the game qubit, and it just connects to the host or the server address. And also we have some session management, and we just create a group. So in today's video we are going to change these codes because we have the server in another address, so we are using domain. We are not going to use the IP address. So before that, I want to show you the design that I implemented in Figma. I mean, I'm not a designer, but I did my best to design something that we can continue with that. So first of all, I changed the color from black to this color from the round of the game, because as you see, we have an aspect ratio for the game, and around that, at the moment we have black color, as you see here, or if it is smaller, you see that here we have black color. I changed it to this color, and also I just implemented these two boxes. So the first one is your profile and your nickname or username, and here you see your score and also your rank. So we have the leaderboard, and this is your rank. And yeah, so this is the score of the current session. We already have it. And when you click on this box or this button, you see the leaderboard. So here you see all the scores that are available. The point is that for the first three, we use a special icon. So it is a trophy icon with the number on top of it. And also for the others, we use a circle and a number inside it. And when you click on your row, I mean, your row is different from others. So we have an opacity here. As you see, it is here white with 10% of opacity. This way you realize that this is your record. And then when you click on it, as you see, it said edit. And when you click on it, you see a pop-up. And then you can enter your name. And when you save your new name, you see it in the leaderboard. And this way you can update your name. And yeah, so let's get started. At first, I'm gonna change the color to this one. And then I'm going to implement the leaderboard UI and this pop-up or dialog. And after that, I will connect the UI to the backend. I mean, in the first part, I'm going to implement the UI with some mock data, and then I'm going to connect it to our backend. So let's get started. At first, I want to create a new directory called presentation. I'm going to separate the layers of the application like presentation, domain, and data. So if you want to know more about it, Very Good Ventures has a good architecture about it. Yeah, so they explained the architecture here. You have the domain layer here, which is an abstraction over the data layer that you have. For example, here we might have Nakama APIs, we might have Firebase authentication or database, local database, or anything else. And then here we have the abstraction over the data layer. And in the application layer or the presentation layer, we are gonna use, for example, block to be able to access the repository. And this way you can separate the layers. It has a lot of benefits. You can read the documentation here. But one of them is the testability. I mean, you can test the different layers with mocking the data or the dependencies that they need. And for example, suppose that you want to replace this API with something else, and using this layered architecture, you just need to touch the data layer. So all the application can just continue working without any change. You just need to change a little part of the code base. And yeah, so I'm going to use this separation. I will put this link into the description. I highly suggest you to read it. It's very good. And yeah, so let's create the presentation and let's put the components, the widgets, and also the blocks. Oh, by the way, we need also move the main page to the presentation, and I'm going to create a directory called pages, and the main page is one of the pages that we have. Yeah, also we can move the Flappy Dash game, so it is the flame game. It's a part of the presentation, and yeah, so now we can commit it, and then I'm going to create a new file called app colors or app style.dart. So I'm going to create a new class called app colors, and for the background color I'm gonna copy it. Yeah, it is this one. Okay, static const background color, and this is the background color. And in the main page, where is that? It's here. Do we have any background here? Yes, we have the background builder, and let's see, can we return a container to have the color? Yes, as you see, it works well. And instead of the colors.red, we are going to use app colors.background color. Nice. Okay. And yeah, so the next step, we are going to implement these two buttons. The first one is this one. As you see, we have a background. It is black with 40% of the opacity, and let's define it. Yeah, the point is that it is black, and to define the opacity we need to change these two numbers. As you know, these are hex numbers, and it is 255. Yeah, as you see, if you change the 255 to hex, it is FF. And now the point is that we need to have 10% of it. So I'm gonna multiply it by 1.0, which means 10%. And now it is 1A. So I'm gonna write 1A. And yeah, so this is raycast I'm using. For example, you can change it to binary. I mean, it supports a lot of operations here, and I highly suggest you to take a look at this tool. It is very helpful. And yeah, so we have the color here, and let's create a new widget for it. I'm gonna call it box overlay or something like that, and it's stateless. And here we can have a container, and the color is this one, app colors dot, and we can accept a child here, so it's a final widget of child, and as a child we just need to return this. And we have corner radius here, it is 16, so I'm just going to have the decoration. We can have box decoration, and color should be here as we use the decoration. And now we can have the border radius, and we can say border radius dot all, and it can be radius dot circular, and it is 16. Yeah, so here we need to have a required this dot child, and for example, in the main page, as you know, we are using a stack, and here we can just add it. For example, box overlay, and the child can be a text, for example. And let's see. Yeah, as you see, we have something on the top left, so we need to have a padding around it. What is the padding? It is around 18 on the left side and 18 on the right side. So let's change it. I'm gonna use a padding, and we can use symmetric to define the horizontal as 18 and vertical. What was that? It is Yeah, so as I said, I'm not a good designer. You see we have different values here, but I think we can have 18 here or maybe 16. So let's see. I mean, we are not going to be exactly like the design because I didn't design it pixel perfect, and it is something that works. We can continue, and let me hot reload. Yeah, it feels good, but it seems it is not correct. I mean, the color is not correct. Oh, it is 40%. Sorry. Yeah, so we need to change it to this logic, 255 times 0.4 to hex. It is 6. So I'm going to change it here. Yeah, now it is working well. And also we have a padding, I mean a margin around the screen. I'm going to change it here. So let's have a padding here to implement the margin. It can be 32. Let's try 16. Yeah, I think 16 is better. And yeah, as you see, when it comes to the screen, it works well. And also when it is here, it is good. And yeah, so let's add this icon. So this is a SVG icon. We can just download it as a SVG. And I'm going to import it to assets. And what do we have here? We have images. We can create a new one called icons. And I'm gonna define it as IC profile. And to have the SVG icons, I think we can add a new dependency. It is called Flutter SVG. Yeah, so I'm going to add this dependency, Flutter pub add Flutter SVG. Okay, good. So now we can have a row here instead of the text. So I'm going to have a row and we have the text here, and before that we have svg picture dot assets. Okay, the point is that we need to remove the const here. And yeah, by the way, we need to add the directory to the PowerSpec file. I'm going to add it here. And let's run it again. Okay, so as you see, we have the profile icon here, but let's limit the height of it. What is the height of it? It is around 53. So let's have a height here. Let's use 54. Okay, it's too big. Let's try 32. Yeah, I feel good about it. And also we need to change the main axis size to mean. Yeah, and let's add a spacing here so we can have a sized box. Width is, I don't know, 12. Okay, and then we need to add this text color. It is this one. I'm going to call it main color because I think we are going to use it a lot, and it is 0xff, this one. And let's change the text style, and the color is app colors dot main color. Okay, good. And also let's increase the font size. It can be 24. Yeah, I think it is good. And yeah, let's decrease the padding. I think in vertical we can have less padding, so it is here, box overlay. Let's try 12. Okay, and I can just move it to a new widget called profile overlay or something like that to keep the widget tree clean. Yeah, I'm gonna import it and we can just use it here. Nice. And then we can have the other one, which is the leaderboard icon or leaderboard box. It can be a column, I think. And we have two overlays. I mean, I'm just going to duplicate the profile for now. We have a size box between them, so it's gonna be a spacing for them. It's going to be 12, for example. Yeah, or 8 maybe. Yeah, 8 is better. Now I'm going to create a new widget called best score overlay. And let's rename it. Okay, let's put it here. And here we can have an icon. So I'm going to download this icon. Yeah, it is an icon and a text on top of it, but I'm going to export the icon separately. And we are going to add the number programmatically in the code. So it's going to be SVG. Let me add it to the icons. It's going to be IC trophy. But let's change the color to white because we can change the color using the code. So I'm just going to use FFFFFF, which means white. And here in the best score overlay, I'm going to use IC trophy. Okay, and then using the color filter, we can change the color. So we can say color filter.mode, and for example, color is red and blend mode is DST in, I think, or SRC in. Yes, as you see, this way we can change the color. And yeah, so we are going to define different colors for different trophies. I just copied the colors for the trophies and I'm going to paste them in the app colors. Yeah, so we have the golden color and golden color text, the text color that is on top of it. We have silver color and silver color text, and also we have bronze color with the text color. And for example, let's say we have golden color. Yeah, so this is the same color that we have in the design. And also it can be a stack. So this way we can have the score number on top of it. So let's change it to a stack. But the point is that we need to have a sized box around it. And I think we can have 32 on height. So we can have the same for width, I think. And now we can have a text on top of it. So I'm going to write 1 and we can make it center. Okay, we need to move it a little bit up. So that's why I'm going to change it with align. So as you see, alignment has the alignment dot center, for example, and if you take a look at the center, you see that it is an alignment with 0 and 0. So you can choose a number between -1 and +1. So for example, top left is -1 and -1, it is X and Y. And here we have bottom right, which is 1 and 1. So it's like -1 to +1 in each direction. So for example, I'm just going to use this one, and horizontally it should be center, and vertically I'm going to use -20% or 40%. Yeah, as you see, it is moving up. And what about the text style? The text color should be app colors dot golden text, and the size can be 18, for example. Yes, I think it is like the design, maybe bigger. I think it is good. So let's just move it a little bit more up. Yeah, 8 is good. And yeah, it's like this. Okay, and what we have here, we have your best and the number. So I'm going to change it to a column. So the first one is your best, and the number is, for example, 122. And the cross-axis alignment is a start. Yes, and also the text style for the your best is different. It is with this color. I'm going to add it to the colors. I'm just going to name it white text color, something like this. And it's going to be this one, and the font size should be 14, for example. Yeah, and the number should be smaller than the name, so it can be 20 or 22, and let's have 12 for it. And the font family is not Chewy anymore, it is Roboto, and I'm going to change the font family to Roboto. Oh, the other one. Good. So we have the scoring button, but the point is that we need to align it to the left. So as you remember, we have a column here that wraps these two overlays. So we can say cross-axis alignment is a start. Okay, and yeah, we need to add a little bit of space here. So in the best score overlay, I'm going to add a spacing. Width is 18, for example. Why it doesn't work? Oh, it is inside the stack. Sorry, it should be here. Yeah, we have 12. Let's change it to 18. I think it is good. And okay, so we have implemented these two boxes. Now let's implement the pop-up that we show the scores here. So first of all, let me commit the changes that we have here. Implement overlay boxes in the main page. And now we can implement a new file called app dialogs or something like that. And now let's create a new method called future of void show leaderboard, and it's gonna return a show dialog, and inside that we can have a build context to be passed from the outside, and we are gonna have a builder here. So let's return a container. The color is colors.black, for example, and we have a text inside it to see how does it look like. And we are going to show it when you click on the your best overlay. Yeah, it's here. So let's implement a parameter here, which is a void callback, and it is on tap. it can be null, for example, and we can have an ink well. So we have on tap. For example, it can be an empty callback here. I just want to see whether the ripple effect works or not. Let's add the on tap here. Okay, so as you see here, we have the on tap. Let's print it. Yeah, it just prints the text here, but it doesn't show the ripple effect. And as you see, we have the padding applied here. It's weird. Oh, we need to have the box overlay inside the class that we have. So this was a mistake. I'm going to fix it. Yeah, so I'm just going to add it directly here, and I'm just going to copy the box overlay, and I'm going to wrap it with a widget that is box overlay, and it should fix the padding issue. Yeah, and also we have the same problem for here. I'm just going to copy it here, and I'm going to wrap the content of it with a widget, which is this one. Okay, now let's fix the ripple issue. So it's a known issue. We need to just wrap it with a material, and we need to change the color to transparent, and this way the ripple works well. Okay, so now we have the ripple effect, but as you see, we have a problem here. We need to fix the radius here. So in the ink well, we have a property called border radius, and it can be border radius dot all, and it can be radius dot circular, which is, for example, 16. Yeah, it fixed the issue. And now let's just change it to the on tap variable that we have. Let me make it smaller. Yeah, and here we can just decide what to do when user clicks on the best score overlay. So I'm going to say app dialogs dot show something. Why it is not accessible? Because it is not static. I'm going to make it static, and in the main page we can say show leaderboard, and as a context we can return the context that we have. And when you click, you see that we have something weird here. So I'm going to change it with alert dialog, and as a content I'm going to pass the container, and we can return this widget instead of the container. And let me run it again. Yes, you see that we have the text here and also the background color of the container. Okay, so now let's remove the width to see what happens. Okay, it feels better. Now let's see how does the main dialog look like. It's like we have a background, we have a title, a close button, and also some rows. First of all, let's create the rounded radius here, and also in the bottom we have something crazy. So I used a shadow. As you see, the bottom stroke is thicker than the left one and the right one and the top one. So the point is that I used a shadow here. It is here, and as you see, it's a shadow that I just implemented with a displacement on the y-axis. So it is 6 pixels on the bottom, and it feels like that it's 3D. It's moved up, and yeah. So let's implement it. The radius is. What is the radius? It is 16. First of all, let's change the border radius. Do we have something like that here? We have content padding. Let's make it 0 at first because we want to handle it by ourselves. Yeah, I think it is our container, and we can add the decoration here. So it's a box decoration, and the border is border.all. The color is colors.black, for example. Let's see. Yeah, so we have the border color, and the white color is coming from the alert dialog. So let's remove it. Do we have the color or something like that? Background color. Yeah, so now we can manage the dialog or the pop-up by ourselves. By the way, let me just move this logic to a new class. It's called Leaderboard Dialog. And it's like this. And I'm just going to return it here. So this way, I think we can work with the hot reload. So let's run it again. And for example, here we have the black border. So let's change it to red and hot reload. Yeah, as you see, now we have the hot reload. Yeah, let's just change it to black. It is a black color with 100 opacity. And also let's have a shadow. Can we have a shadow here? Box shadow. Yeah. And we can have a box shadow. And we can set the color to colors.red, for example, to see how does it look like. And also let's change the color to colors.white. Okay, and let's add the padding here. Yeah, and now let's add the spread radius to, I don't know, 20. Okay, and we have offset. For example, 0 and 0 means center. And if we change it in the y-axis, it moves bottom. So let's decrease it to 0, 1. You know, we have blur radius, and I think it defines the blurriness, but we need to have 0 here to have the sharp effect here. So let's decrease this one to, for example, 2. Yeah, I think this is the effect that we are looking for. By the way, let's increase the border width or border size here to 4, for example. Oh, sorry. And then we can change this color to black, and then we can move it further. Yeah, I think it is good now. Let's increase it to 6 maybe. Okay, it looks like this one, but let's implement the radius. Okay, so let's continue. If we see that the stroke is too thick, we can decrease the amount, but for now we can just continue. And yeah, the first text that we have is the leaderboard, so I'm just going to write it here, and the text style is something like this. The color is white text color, and the background color of the pop-up is this one. So I'm going to define the color here. Yeah, so I'm going to change it from white to app colors. This one. Okay, now let's make it centered, so it can be a column, for example. And in the column we can, yeah, it is centered by default. We are good to go, but let's make the main size to main size.mean, because by default it is max. It covers all the space that is available here, but for this case we can use mean. And now we can increase the font size to something like 28. Yeah, and also the font is Roboto here, the font family. Okay, but 28 is too much, I think. 24 or 20 is better. And also let's increase the width of the dialog. So can we change it here? Yes, so I think 400 is good. Yeah, and now we can add the close button here. So let me just add the icon here. I'm gonna get this one and let's export it as a SVG, and it is IC close. And the first one is a title, and here we can change it to a row to have the text and also the SVG picture of assets. And let's remove the const here. Okay, so we have the close button here, but the point is that at first we need to decrease the size. Let's set it to 24 is too small. Let's change it to 34, 42. Yeah, 42 is good, and height is the same. And let's change the alignment to a space between, and also to make sure that it is centered, we need to add something like this. I mean, when you have three things, it just adds the space evenly between them, and we just need to replace it with an empty box to have this effect. So I'm going to have a size box which is 42, and if I remove this one, it is the same. So now we have the title and also the close button. We can have a variable here called close icon size, which is 42, and we can use it here, here, and here. And now we can change it to 38, for example, to make it smaller. And the point is that we can wrap it with a icon button to see how does it look like. And we have unpressed here, and instead of child we have icon. Yeah, as you see, we have the clickable button, and we just need to have the navigator.off context.pop. So we can make it a single line, and when you click, it just closes the pop-up. Good. And now let's implement the leaderboard rows. I'm going to create a widget here. So we are going to have a rank, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are going to have a name and also a score. And then we need to have a boolean that says if it is our score or not. So for example, this one is our score, and we can show it differently. So let's create it. I'm going to have rank, name, score, and is mine. So I'm going to add the properties here. Okay, now it's going to be a row, and as you remember, we have something here. So the size is 44. What is the size of this one? 44. Okay, so we can do a trick here. We have a widget called placeholder, and you can just wrap it with a size box. Width is 44, height is 44, and we have a text which is the name, and also we have a text which is the score to a string. Okay, so let's add some rows here inside the column that we have. I'm going to add a leaderboard row. Rank is 1. Iman, and the score is this one. Is mine is true, for example. And if I hot reload, yes, you see that the placeholder is just a widget that lets you know how much space it occupies, and then you can implement the UI, and finally you can replace it with the widget that you have. First of all, let's add the color, text color here. So if it is mine, it is pure white, otherwise it is this color. So I think this is the same color that we have for the white text color. So let's define it a new one because it is not the same. It's a little bit darker. We have white text color too. And here in the text, we can change the style to text style. Color is app colors dot white text color 2. And the size is something like 32. So font size is 32. And we can just check if it is mine. Color is pure white, otherwise it is text color 2. And yeah, so we have an expanded here to have the spacing. Yeah, so it moved the score here, and for the score we have this text color. Yeah, so let's define a new color. It's like the main color, but it is not the same, I think. So yeah, let's define a new one called secondary color or blue color. I think it is better. And let's set it here. Okay, so let's increase the size to 40. Nice. And then, I mean, it is too large, so let's change it to 36. And this one to 28. I think it feels better. And then let's add a spacing here between the placeholder and the name here. We have 16 points space here. Okay, so now let's implement the placeholder here. I mean, let's add other rows. 2, 3, with different scores, and is mine is false. Okay, so here I'm gonna define a new widget called trophy or score trophy, and it needs to have a size here, and I'm going to get it here. And I'm going to have a stack. I mean, we need to do the same that we did for here. So I'm just going to copy paste the code. It was in best score overlay, and we have a stack here with a size box. By the way, let me leave it here. By the way, later we will replace this widget with the one that we are creating here. I'm gonna paste it here, and let's just replace it with the placeholder that we have, and the size should be 44. And the point is that we need to use the size that we are passing here. Okay. Yeah, also we need to change this size. Now let's make it smaller. It is too big. Let's make it to 38 or 32. Oh, I think 38 is better. And now we can have a variable here called rank. This way we are able to show it. So here I'm gonna use rank.toString. Let's remove the constant here. And here I'm just going to pass the rank variable, and it is not constant anymore. Yeah, and let's add more here, 4 and 5, for example. Yeah, so the point is that we just need to show the trophy for the first 3 rows. So I'm gonna say if here I'm gonna say bool show trophy. It is if rank less than or equals 3. So this way we need to show the trophy. And here we can say if show trophy, return this one, otherwise show the normal circle. So as you remember, here we have a normal circle, and the color is what is the color? Is this one, the main color. So I'm just going to write a decoration. Oh, by the way, we need to change the logic from if to this one. So this is a single line if statement. It said if it is showing trophy, return this one, otherwise return this one. And we are going to return a decoration. Shape is gonna be box shape dot circle, and the border should be border dot all. The color should be app colors dot main color, and yeah, we need to add the size here. And we can have a child as a text, which is the rank.toString. So it needs to be centered. Okay, and the color is the same, and we need to increase the font size. So let's change the text style. Color should be main color, and font size should be 28, 24. Yeah, 24 is better. Okay, so now we can make a widget of this. So I'm just going to cut this section of the code, and we can write a new class, a stateless normal score, and it can be this one. And it accepts a rank property, and we can just use the normal score with the rank of rank. And also we can have the size for this one, just like the previous one. So let's use it here, and the size should be 38. Okay, now we said if it should show the trophy, use this widget, otherwise use this widget. We can simplify it like this. Okay, so let's add some spacing. Or before that, we can add the different colors for the different ranks. So here we can have an if statement. So here we can say, or a switch statement. We can have a switch on the rank that we have, and we can say for 1 return this one, for 2 return the same one, for 3 return the same one. And we can remove the const here, and we need to define the default case, but we need to throw a state error, invalid rank. Okay, so now for the first rank, we need to show the golden. For the other one, we need to show the silver and then bronze. Yeah, this way. And also we need to do the same for the text. I'm gonna change it like this. Sorry. And we can just add a text here. Yeah, because we have different text colors for the different trophies. And if I hot reload, you see that everything works well. And yeah, now we need to show the edit button here. As you see, for the one that is mine, I need to show an edit button, and with the different background. As you remember, it is a white with 10%. So I'm going to add a text like edit, and we can say if is mine, show it, so it shows it only for this case. And I'm going to change the cross axis alignment to end to see how does it look like. Yeah, it is not centered anymore. I don't like this. Let's revert it. Yeah, now everything is centered, but we can just change the alignment of this one using the align widget and alignment of bottom center. Okay, it didn't work. Let's wrap it with a container to just debug it. So I'm just going to set it red if it is mine. Yeah, this is the box that we have for the row. Oh, I think I know what is the issue. We need to define a height here, then it works well. So for example, if we define height as 80, for example, and we don't need to define the cross axis alignment, but if we change it to bottom center, it fixes the issue because it knows how much the height is needed here. What is the height? It is 73. So let's change it to 68. Maybe it's better, or 58. Yeah, I think 58 is better. And yeah, by the way, it is on the bottom. Let's move it a little bit up. I'm going to use alignment 0 and 0 is center, 0 and halfway point is here. Yeah, I think it is better. And also we need to have a space between them, so I'm going to change it with this code to have a spacing. Oh, sorry, we need to add width. It is too much. 4 is better. Yeah, the point is that we return a list of widgets instead of a single widget here. And let's change the color to white of 10%. So we have white 10. Okay, and the point is that we need to make it full width. So I don't like to have a cut here. So where do we have the padding? I think we have it inside the dialog. Content padding is 0, but we have a padding here. So I'm just going to remove it. Yeah, and inside the rows, I'm just going to add a padding. So here, I'm just going to add a padding of symmetric is 16 or 18. Yeah, it feels better. And then I need to add the clickable widget here. So I'm just going to wrap it with an inkwell. And again, we need to wrap it with material and add the color to colors are transparent to have the ripple effect. Otherwise, we don't have the ripple effect. and it just edits the name. And I'm just going to add this text color here. So I think it is the blue color. Where's the edit? It's here. So I'm going to define the style. Okay, now it's good. And also we need to disable the click for the other ones. So we can say if is mine, implement it, otherwise return null. So this way we don't have the clickable effect for the other ones. And yeah, so let's create a list view instead of adding them directly here. I'm just going to create a list view dot builder context and index, and suppose that we have 20 items here, and for each of them I'm going to return a leaderboard row. Rank is index +1 because it starts from 0. Name is player $index +1. Score is index times 10, for example, or 12, for example. And then is mine is if it is, for example, the third one, which is index 2. And yeah, so let's do this. Yeah, as you see, we have an error here because we need to define the height of the list view. Otherwise, it doesn't know how much space does it need. So let's say that we want to have a size box of 400 in height, and you can scroll through the items. And yeah, I think 400 is good. And let's add a padding on top of that. So as you know, in list view, we have padding property, and let's add top padding like 18. And also on the bottom, let's add some, for example, 12 or something like that padding. Yeah, so we have the items, and the point is that we have a separator here. The color is white 10, so we can use we can just wrap it with a container and put a bottom border, but the better way is to use the list view.separated instead of list view.builder. So this way you have item builder and also you have separator builder. So here you can have the context and index just like what we have here. And then you can return a separator. For example, here I'm gonna return a container with height of yak, color of colors.white 10. Yeah, so this way we have the separator between the items. And what if we increase the row height? It was 58, so let's change it to 64. Yeah, I think it is better. And yeah, so let's do a cleanup here. We have app dialogues. Let's move it to a new class. I will create a new directory called dialogues. Yeah, we already have it. Let's move it here. And let's create a new one called leaderboard dialog.start. And we can add all the widgets that we have here to the leaderboard dialog class or file. And let's just have the imports here. And we just need to open it. Okay, so we just implemented the leaderboard dialog and we are showing it using this function. It can be a single line function. And the next step, we need to implement the pop-up for the name, and after that I think we are done with the UI part or the presentation part. So let's define a new dialog called, let me commit this code. Okay, now let's implement the nickname dialog. So I'm just going to copy paste some code from here. It is nickname dialog, and I'm going to import it, and instead of the dialog BG color I'm going to use white, and we don't have the border anymore and the box shadow because it's just a simple dialog. And I'm going to have a column. I'm going to remove this code, and yeah, so let's add it to the app dialogs. And when we click on the player row, we just need to show the nickname dialog. So let me add some content here to make sure that we have something to show. And in the leaderboard, when you click on the row that is for you, we can just have a void callback here on edit or on my profile click. So I'm just going to rename it to on my profile tap to be consistent with the on tap. And here I'm going to add this one. By the way, it is nullable. And when we have the leaderboard row, we can implement the callback just like this. And we just need to show the nickname dialog when user clicks on the edit. Okay, so now when you click, you see that we show the edit dialog. And now let's remove it to have the default width. I think the default width is enough. And we have a text box and we have a button. The UI is not important for this part. I'm just going to add this text. So it's a raw auto text with 40 text size. Okay, it is too big, so let's change it to 28. And then we have a text field, and it's gonna be a decoration or something like that. Yeah, we have input decoration. I just copied a code from somewhere to have the input decoration. Let's see. Yeah, it has a color. I'm going to remove the color because we don't want to have a fancy color. We just need to have the, what is the color? It's black. So we are just going to have the colors dot black, and width is going to be 1, and we just need to have a padding here. So all 18, for example. Yeah, and let's add a spacing here. Okay, and it's not mobile number, it is nickname. And for the button, we are going to have a field button dot tonal, and the unpressed is empty and the text is save. And I think we can remove the const here. Yeah, and yeah, so we have the save button and it should be full width. I'm going to wrap it with a sized box. width is going to be 400, for example, or 200 or 240 maybe. And let's add a spacing here, 16. Yes, I think we are good to go. We have the nickname field and we have the save button, and you can edit your nickname. Yeah, I think we implemented the UI that we needed for the leaderboard. I thought we can implement both of the UI and also the logic in this episode, but it took a long time. But yeah, that's fine. We will have the next video, and in the next video we are going to implement the connection between the client and also the backend. So we are going to use the UIs that we implemented in the app. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe the channel. Stay tuned for the next video. Bye.